Okay, I'm going to quickly show you how to edit NEF RAW files. Not how to edit them, but just to show you the quality of the amount of dynamic range in these files from a Nikon D600. This is the Nikon D600 card. You can see I just recorded. I just went outside, took 3 quick pictures, seconds apart, with 3 different settings. So let's import those into Lightroom. Now I'll go to Import. There they are. See, there's one dark, one at exposure, and one way overexposed. So let's import those real quick. I'll just import them onto my drive. And now, if you look over here to the right, I'll show you what they were set. The settings for them. The first one was set at 1/1600th of a second shutter, f8. Flash did not fire. 50 millimeter. ISO 64. I put low ISO, super low, so that it would not to get it clear, just to make it underexposed. As you can see, it's very underexposed. See how dark it is. The next one is at exposure, and at exposure with 1/640th of a second, f8. I tried to keep the f-stop the same in them, and then one overexposed, I dropped the f-stop way down to f4, 1/250th of a second. Really overexposed this image, as you can see. And I took them just moments ago. So let's take a look at the let's take a look at the dark one. Okay, so this one here, normally this shot would be completely useless. You can see that if you took this picture, if it was a JPEG and you took it, you didn't have the extra information, this picture would be basically worthless. But let's go over here to the auto button right here on exposure, and let's just let Lightroom adjust the exposure and highlights and shadows automatically. See? All fixed. And look at the quality of the picture. Look at the shadows. See the shadow detail on the trees back here? All the shadow details retained. Even in the snow details retained. See the detail in the snow? All the pieces down here, it all looks great. Everything looks great in this image. So all it did was raise the exposure. You can even adjust the highlights, make the highlights brighter, bring up the shadows if you wanted to. Drop the exposure down a little bit, just bring the shadows up. You could even adjust the contrast, make it a little bit more contrasty, whatever. But see, you have all the detail in the blades of grass, the straw. This is just a shot outside the house. Okay, now here's the one at exposure, properly exposed, but it's very flat. I use a very flat, I don't use any profiles. This is just direct off the image. So even if I clicked auto on this one, boom, it looks 1,000 times better. All I do is click auto. It just raised the exposure, changed the whites, brought the whites up. You can even bring the shadows down a little bit and the highlights down a little bit to give it more back here. Now let's take a look at this overexposed. Say you overexpose, you accidentally were in a rush taking a picture of a wedding or something, and boom, oh man, the flash went off. I didn't know the flash was going off. My phone is going off like crazy over here. Let me turn the speaker off. Flash goes off and you're way overexposed. Actually, I found out that this image is actually perfectly usable. Watch. There. Still has some overblown highlights in this grass. See the grass that's overblown right here? So let's drop these highlights down. Let's bring this exposure down a little bit lower. Contrast down. Bring the whites down a little bit, so the white's not quite so bright. You still have some overexposed areas right here, but it's amazing the amount of detail that was brought back into this picture from before to now. I mean, it's actually become a usable picture. You could even soften it with a little bit of clarity, or even raise up the clarity a little bit. Look at the detail. This was all completely overblown. This was a useless picture seconds ago, and it's actually usable. You could actually use this picture. Now let's go to the original properly exposed image. Click auto. Oh, I already did. Oh well. Anyway, I forgot the direction I was going. So here's the 3 images. This one was way underexposed. This one was properly exposed. And this one was overexposed. Still a little bit overexposed in the grass, but I mean, it's amazing that I was able to actually capture this out of the image because of the amount of dynamic range in that camera directly off the sensor. So there you have it.